Hey guys, Casey here, back at you with today's third installment of the Daily Triple. We're staying right on theme today with kind of bad look, suspensions, illegal activities. If you don't know, the Daily Triple, we cover one story from the NBA, NFL, and MLB every single day. So, like I said, today it's all been kind of based around crime and breaking the rules and just generally being a bonehead in the public eye. Easier said than done to be a perfect goody two shoes, I guess. But today's NBA topic we've talked about at length multiple times on our long form Triple Cross podcast episodes. So if you want to hear more about that, you can go check out those older episodes on the long form pod. But this Daily Triple is a short form type of content cycle. So I'm going to be reading about a story from Yahoo Sports. Headline reads, "Is Ja Morant's 25-game suspension for flashing a gun fair if he has not been charged with the crime?" Now, this article, we'll scroll through it really quick. If you're looking on YouTube, you can see this is quite a lengthy article from Yahoo Sports. We covered another Yahoo Sports article earlier today, but it wasn't not nearly this length. So you can look it up yourself if you'd like to read the entire thing. But I'll try to give you the gist of it here while we're together for these few minutes. So, is Ja Morant's 25-game suspension for flashing a gun fair if he has not been charged with a crime? An interesting and an important take. It basically, this article, it starts out doing what an article does, kind of setting the stage for the argument. It's saying, yeah, obviously we know he messed up. We're going to cite some precedents from the NBA and how they've handled other stuff. Saying, yeah, other people messed up, they got suspended, and Ja Morant, yeah, he's messing up, so he's gotten the suspension. But basically, as we come to the second half of this article, they come forward with their assertion that this is potentially not fair. So Morant brandished a gun on camera. There is no easy answer for how he should have to answer for that. Okay, that statement, I guess, is pretty fair. Another aspect of Morant's suspension appears to be that he has repeated this offense. Well, okay, seems even more fair that there might be some kind of harsher suspension if we've already established this is a bad practice. For those who don't know, if you're just hearing about this for the first time, Ja Morant has been up to all kinds of antics in the last 365 days. He's beat up a 17-year-old at a pickup basketball game. Some other encounter I can't remember off the top of my head. He waved a gun around on IG. I want to say back in March, and then he just did it again, a few weeks ago, whatever it is. So he got suspended for both of those things separately. But yeah, he repeated this offense. He didn't learn from the suspension, which he paid, and he came back. He played, I think, the last 10 games of the season for the Grizzlies, but then immediately after his season is over, he's doing it all over again. So did he learn from it? Is it our job as a league and fans to make sure he learns from his mistakes? We hope for that for sure, especially since he's a budding superstar that the NBA would love to make one of the faces of the NBA. The way it is turning out, though, that seems tough. It seems like a tough sell. So when Morant wielded a firearm on Instagram Live in a Colorado strip club in March, Silver said, "The All-NBA guard made it clear to me that he has learned from this incident and that he understands his obligation and responsibility to the Memphis Grizzlies and the broader NBA community." Morant broke that trust in May. So those are the actual dates. So it was March and in May when the two separate occurrences happened where Morant is, in just all objectivity, he's waving around a gun irresponsibly for some kind of I'm not trying to put anything onto this that isn't already involved, but it seems pretty clear he's trying to, I don't want to say thuggish behavior, but he's trying to seem like a tough guy. He's throwing his weight around a little bit, showing off a gun. It's all during, as far as I've seen on the videos, it's all kind of to music and kind of in celebration and something you would see out of a music video. So he's trying to live music video in real life, which, I think most adults know by this age that Ja Morant has arrived to that real life is not a music video. There are repercussions if you live your life that way. So Silver said Friday, so this would be last Friday, Ja Morant's decision to once again wield a firearm on social media is alarming and disconcerting given his similar conduct in March, for which he was already suspended 8 games. The statement continued, prior to his return to play, he will be required to formulate and fulfill a program with the league that directly addresses the circumstances that led him to repeat this destructive behavior. Okay, so now this is where I have some questions as the reader of this article. So this article, I don't want to say they're trying to defend Ja Morant. They're trying to, I think, pretty objectively, or maybe trying to wiggle some room here where, like, could it be that the NBA has overreacted with this 25-game suspension? Well, one thing that we never heard with the first issue, or at least I never heard it, was that people thought 8 games was far too long. It seemed pretty light. It seemed like a slap on the wrist, which makes sense. You know, this is a superstar. This is not some bubble player on the roster. The NBA wants to give him every opportunity to get back on the court. Now, the downside of that, the reason you don't just do that for everybody, is because a slap on the wrist is not a very big deterrent to bad behavior. So did Ja Morant learn anything? Well, as it turns out, he basically did not. He repeated the same behavior only, 3 months later? March, May, 2 months later? I mean, the guy learned nothing. He sat out about half of the remaining games of the season, and, you know, I'm sure every fan of the Grizzlies was pissed. Every piece of the organization, every player, every coach, everybody, I'm sure, was very mad at him. But, you know, you want to keep a guy like this on your side because if he can figure it out, he's super talented. But how do you keep this guy from messing up? Well, I guess you increase the deterrent. You go to 25 games. And now that he has a 25-game suspension on a second offense, this question is being begged. I think that is kind of a bailout. I think they're looking for a juicy angle on this story with that headline. Is it too much? I don't think that many people are on the side of this is too much when he so blatantly is just flying in the face of what the NBA wants him to do. They do make a good point here that he didn't break a law, and he didn't break even an NBA rule necessarily, like by the letter of the rule. But there is stuff like personal conduct policies in the NBA, which are pretty blanket types of situations where the NBA can basically say, hey, you know that thing you did? That was a really, really bad look for us, and we don't want to be associated with that. So we're going to punish you because of those reasons. And if you engage in the same activities more than once, I think they are well within their rights and well within the required course of action to try to correct that behavior by giving you a larger penalty, larger sentence, a larger suspension, I guess is the right word, from the league. So 25 games. As to the so this is a quote here. As to the discipline imposed, which keeps Morant off the court until December and requires some unstated conditions to be met before he can return, we believe it is excessive and inappropriate for a number of reasons, including the facts involved in the particular incident, and that it is not fair and consistent with past discipline in our league. NBPA Executive Director Tomiko Tremaglio there in that statement given on Friday. We will explore with Ja all options and next steps. So again, what we're hearing, so NBPA, that'd be the NBA Players Association, I guess. So they're saying that it's not fair and consistent with past discipline in our league. I don't know how many disciplinary actions had to be taken on a guy, on any people who repeated the exact same thing 2 months after they were just suspended for it. So I don't think this holds up. This is definitely the PA going to bat for Ja here. They're going to explore all options and next steps. Again, the unspoken part of that is to get Ja back on the court, because a player like Ja being on the court is good for everybody. Literally good for everybody. It's very good for Ja. It's very good for the league because you got a premier scorer and a guy that's fun to watch on the court. That's good for ratings and stuff for the NBA. It's good for the Grizzlies because they're going to win more games with him on the court than they're going to win without him on the court. It's good for the NBPA because, you know, the more that the top heavy players can do for players in general in the league, that's going to mean a lot for the collective players in the league. So yeah, nobody wants to see Ja fail here. Ja is the one who is ruining opportunities for himself. there isn't anybody else against him really, except for now definitely some fans of the NBA and of the Grizzlies and other teams as well. They're probably pretty pissed at him. But I mean, that seems like pretty due course of action when a guy does this kind of stuff. And again, I don't want to skew political here, but especially if you do believe in gun rights, you are super offended by this guy being irresponsible and potentially like giving a case for harsher gun restrictions on people who are law-abiding citizens and are responsible gun owners. And if you're against, if you're for gun control in the first place and against all guns in general, well, you're fired up about this too because this is the smoking gun, no pun intended, for the exact type of arguments you've been making. And John Morant is now the poster boy for that. So this is just a bad look all the way around. Every single entity that has made a statement on this and the first thing says they want to give him every opportunity to succeed. It seems like Ja is the one who doesn't want himself to succeed. Even the other guys in the video, this most recent video, it's in a car. He's waving the gun around. The guy who's filming from the driver's side, because Ja was in the passenger side, the guy who's filming notices what Ja does. He pulls out his gun and he flips the camera away from him super fast. Even his friends are looking out for him more than he is for himself. This feels like a classic case of Ja has been treated with kids gloves so far. I think the 25-game suspension is definitely fair. I think he's lucky it's not even longer because, again, even if he didn't break a rule or break a law, there are personal conduct policies that you have to abide by in the professional sports leagues. And the fact that this has happened before just erases any shadow of a doubt that the league would be okay with this kind of action. So I personally could see a way harsher suspension coming his way. The fact that he won't play until December, I could care less, honestly. If you're a Grizzlies fan, I'm sorry. If you're a John Morant fan, I'm sorry. This guy needs to get his act together because he is an incredible talent. I would love to see him succeed on the court as well, but not at the sake of corrupting the league's image even more than it already has in a lot of ways. With more violence. A lot of these high-end athletes, they get away with a lot of stuff. I think it's pretty horrible, the kinds of things we regularize as far as domestic, and not just in the NBA, in all sports leagues. Speaking as an NFL fan, especially myself, I think that it's pretty crazy how we de-emphasize the punishments for like domestic violence and then other things, they can get on the court way quick. Like, it's kind of crazy the types of ways we treat these guys. And we're pretty quick to give them a second chance as well. But I think even as lenient as the system has been so far on John Morant, if he does this kind of thing for a third time, if he commits strike three, then I don't think he's going to have any sympathy left from anybody at that point. And he'd be lucky just to remain in the league at that point. Because, again, it's not that I don't want to take this situation lightly, but it's not the severity of the issue that he's just waving. It's the repeated "you don't care" that is going to rub people the wrong way, as well as the actual action itself. So the quote from John Morant here in his personal statement, he actually doesn't make it sound like they're going to try to fight it very much, not as much as the NBPA guy did. So here's what John Morant had to say to the league, the Grizzlies, and his fans and sponsors. He said, "I hope you'll give me the chance to prove to you over time I'm a better man than what I've been showing." He has made similar statements before and broken the same promise. He may well let the NBPA debate the morality of that on his behalf. Probably a smart idea, honestly. This is not a great look for him to try to defend himself, really. If a 25-game suspension results in Morant's improved well-being, all the better, but that's another matter entirely. Yeah, so John Morant, we're pulling for you, man. I'm pulling for you until I decide not to at all anymore. At this point, I guess as long as you serve the time, and this stuff ends now, I'm still on your team. I'm glad you're suspended. I think it easily could have been longer. I definitely wouldn't have been happy if it was shorter, like maybe like another 8 games is all. That would have been crazy in my opinion. Glad the league is flexing a little bit on this stuff, trying to just remove it from the league because we don't need this kind of stuff going on in our professional sports. Role model stuff aside, because kids are watching, it doesn't have to be about kids and role models. It comes down to I'm a grown man and I appreciate this stuff. And I'm not looking at these guys as role models. I'm older than most of these guys, for God's sake. But I don't want to be over here rooting for teams with players that are just frankly, like irresponsible and stuff like that, and irresponsible just by being a young guy and with regular life decisions is one thing. Irresponsible with a gun, and especially in the atmosphere we're in politically, where this is a super heated topic. I don't want to help out any of those guys. So John Morant, sorry man, you're kind of on my list of guys not to be super happy with, but I do hope that you pull it together, turn this thing around, become the NBA superstar that you are supposed to be, and maybe in a couple of years I will be your biggest advocate and I can hold you up as a shining example of a guy who figured it all out, got his life together, and actually took the opportunity, the crazy, unrealistic opportunity for 99.9% of the population. I want to see him take that and actually cherish it and make something beautiful out of it as far as a career and a life for himself. I don't want to see him trying to be a thug in the club or in a car with his buddies and waving a gun around. That's just stupid. To me, there's no two ways about it. But if you disagree, jump into the comments if you're watching on YouTube and let me know what you think about John Morant, the Grizzlies, what's going to happen. What do you think of the suspension? Should it have been longer, shorter? Let me know. Also, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a ton with the YouTube algorithm, so we'd be very thankful for that. And also remember to hit the bell icon to get notifications for whenever we go live, because if you jump onto one of our live podcast recordings, then you could find yourself winning a prize during those recordings. We give them out all the time, so make sure you jump on whenever you see we're live. If you're on audio platforms like the podcast app or Spotify, iHeartRadio, something like that, make sure to rate and review us. Please rate us 5 stars. Again, that just helps a ton with the algorithm, helps spread what we're doing to other people. And review, let us know what you think of the show, whether it be the long form Triple Cross podcast or the shorter form Daily Triples like what you're hearing right now. Guys, I'm going super long. I've been Casey at Niners_fanman. Find me on socials, follow me there. And until next time, this has been the Daily Triple, and I will catch you on the next one.